Hey, thanks for joining me. If you've been watching my power station reviews for a while now, you probably already know that I've been a pretty strong fan of the Pecron E-Series power stations, having reviewed the E2000LFP, the E600LFP, recently the newly released E1500LFP, which brought some new and much appreciated functionality to that Pecron lineup, which was already packing a ton of value in terms of what you get for the money. But today we've got something brand new from Pecron that I think a lot of people are going to like. This is the new E300LFP. It's the newest and smallest member of the Pecron E-Series. And as a fun bonus, Pecron has actually also very generously offered to do a giveaway contest on this video where we'll be giving away one of these E300s to a lucky winner. So be sure to watch until the very end to find out how to enter for your chance to win this guy. Well, not this one, but a new one shipped direct to you from Pecron. All right, let's jump right in. This new E300LFP does compete directly with things like the entry-level Bluetti EB3A and the EcoFlow River 2 power stations. But at a rated 288 watt hours, it's got more capacity than the EB3A, which only has 268, and it's got more capacity than the River 2 that has 256 watt hours. And the 600 watt pure sine wave inverter on this guy has double the power output of that River 2, and for less money. But we'll talk a little bit more about that in a bit. All right, before we get into the other details and find out how this thing performs, let's jump back in time a few weeks and see what it comes with in the box. All right, warranty card. So it looks like as long as you register it, you do get a 2-year warranty. Little user guide. All right, that is all that's in the box. That is a cute little guy. There's a little pouch attached back here. Let's see what we got in the pouch. All right, standard AC charging cable and a car charging cable with a DC 5521 connector on it. So no solar cable. All right, so we have got just a quick look. This thing is adorable. It's not stupid heavy either. So it's got wireless charging on top. It's got ventilation fans on the side here. One is probably an intake, one is an outtake. Is that right? On this side, we've got a light. There we go. Typical light. Actually useful. Good on a picnic table if you're out camping. And let's see, there's the AC charge port. And there is the DC 5521 DC charge port. And it says 12 to 28 volts DC, 100 watts max. So on something with this kind of capacity, which is 288 watt hours, with a 100 watt solar panel, you should be able to get about 400 watt hours of charged capacity in a full day of decent sun. So really you should be able, as long as you got decent sun conditions, you should be able to fully charge this thing with a 100 watt solar panel in, I don't know, maybe 5-6 hours tops. And we'll test that. And let's see, up front, standard 12 volt 10 amp car charge socket. Interestingly, it's got a 24 volt 5 amp DC 5525 port, and then a 12 volt 5 amp accessory port right there. You got a one PD100, looks like in and out. So I have to test that, but it looks like you could charge this through the PD100 USB port as well. And then you've got two 18 watt quick charge type A USB ports and a couple of, this says 600 watts max. So 600 watt AC inverter, and we'll get into all the specs. All right, I think that's about all we can do for now. Let's jump forward in time and go do some testing on this thing. Find out if it's worth the very modest price tag that it has. Let's do a DC discharge test on this. I've got it fully charged up. And we're going to find out, I think it's 288 watt hours rated, but we know we're not going to get all of that, or at least we typically don't get all of that. So let's find out how much we can get through the DC port. Now I've got this connected to the 24 volt port. All right, let me dial this up and see what we can get. All right, so I got about 130 watts. We're going to let this thing go until the battery, the E300 BMS shuts us down, and find out how many watt hours we actually accumulated here. We are ticking the watt hours up slowly but surely, and we'll find out what the usable capacity out of the DC ports is on this E300LFP. All right, looks like our test is done. We have completely stopped. I don't think we can Get anything else out of this? Let's see what it comes up. 0%. Okay. So we're registered 238.86 watt hours. That's out of a rated 288 watt hours. So that would be about 82.5% of rated capacity is what we can actually get out of the DC outputs on this E300. And 82.5% is right square in the middle of average in terms of all the power stations that I have tested. All right, let's get this thing charged back up and then we'll run an AC discharge capacity test and see how that goes. Got the E300 all powered up, should be 100%. Turn the AC inverter on. Let's do a usable capacity test out of that AC inverter. And we're going to run this till it shuts us down and see how we do. Go ahead and switch that over. Let's see if we can see 119.4 volts. So a very good voltage number out of this tiny little guy. All right, we'll switch it back over to watt hours and we'll let that count up. Our AC discharge test is done. Let's find out how many usable watt hours we got through the AC inverter. Out of a rated 288 watt hours, we got 240 watt hours. So that is a 83% of rated capacity, which is just a solid middle of the road average number. So not a bad number, not a standout number, but certainly not a bad number. So 240 usable watt hours through the AC inverter. All right, let's do some load testing on this little E300. Now, despite the name E300, it actually has a 600 watt AC inverter. So let's see if we can get this thing really close to maybe slightly above or slightly below that 600 watt threshold through the AC inverter and find out if it can run that for a full 10 minutes. So let's check it out here. Turning on the AC inverter. Heard the fans kick on for just a moment. I've already got an oil heater load connected to it and it's pulling a 609 watts. So let's start the timer and see if it'll run for 10 minutes. All right. You know, the fans are quite a bit louder than they were when we started. I think we peaked at, if you were watching the meter here, we peaked at about, I think, just below 58 decibels at maximum volume, which is basically where we are right now. I'd say that's fairly average in terms of full fan speed for an AC inverter in this capacity class. But yeah, definitely did pass the 600 watt AC inverter load test. If you want to see what other kinds of things that you could run with this device, being a 600 watt AC inverter output and a 288 watt hour rated battery capacity, I'll put a link below in the description for the video for you so you can go check out a Google spreadsheet. You can download that and then you can key in that 288 watt hours and the 600 watt AC inverter and it'll tell you the typical types of things that you can run with it and for how long would you be able to run those things. So if you're interested in that, go check that out in the description below. But yeah, so far this thing is performing quite well for a little tiny unit in this capacity class. All right, let's get this solar testing started on this. Now, I think, as I mentioned before, it'll take a maximum of 100 watts through this little DC 5521 port on the side. And the voltage max, which is always important to know, is between 12 and only 28 volts. So whatever combination of panels you connect to this, you do not want it to output more than 28 volts of voltage open circuit, or you will probably damage the charge controller. So what I'm going to do is turn the solar panels on here. I've already checked my solar input. I've actually connected a 200 watt panel that is outputting about 20 volts. It will be outputting a little more current, so I'm going to be capped. It's still going to be capped at 100 watts. So I've basically over-paneled this, but that's safe to do because I am under that 28 volt maximum spec. So I'm going to go ahead and turn this heat source on. Actually, I think I had it on. Let me go ahead and turn the AC inverter back on. And this is going to pull basically 200 watts continuous and run this all the way down. And then we're going to find out in the morning when we come back, if we have a little bit of sun, if this will resume charging itself via solar automatically in the morning without me having to press any buttons to get it to do that, because that's what we would like to see. Not all power stations will do that. Some will require you to unplug and replug the solar connection, maybe power cycle the unit or something like that. That's kind of an inconvenience, not typically a deal breaker, but I'd prefer not to have to do that. So we'll see if this little E300LFP lets us auto resume solar charging in the morning after it's been shut down. So we'll see you in the morning and we'll find out what the situation is. It is actually about 11 a.m., but we do have a little bit of sun out there for a change. Man, we've had a long string of very cloudy, overcast days here in Ohio. But we are getting actually 102 watts, so we're maxing this thing out with that over-paneled 200-watt panel that I have connected. And we're getting that full 100 watts that this thing can take, and actually a couple over that. But we are currently at 81%. It was fully depleted overnight, and it did resume charging all by itself. I didn't have to press any buttons or unplug, replug anything. It just worked. So that's exactly what you want to see with the E300. And by the way, with that 100 watt input, because this is only a 288 watt hour rated battery capacity, you can easily charge this in well under a full day of full sun, or a full day of mixed sun and clouds. Should be easily able to fully recharge this with just a 100 watt solar panel. So pretty happy with how this little guy is actually performing with solar. All right, let's do a UPS test on this E300. I've got the laptop with the battery removed plugged in here to the AC inverter. Got the AC inverter on, and we're running some disk benchmarking. Actually, we will as soon as I turn it on. Now we're running some disk benchmarking. And you can see my disk activity just shot up. Just so you can see, I've got grid power coming in from the side on the AC input to the E300, and we have AC power going out the front to the laptop. So I'm going to simulate the power outage by pulling the grid power. And if we were to take a look here, that little tiny icon just to the upper right of the state of charge meter there, it says UPS. It's very small. I'll try to zoom in there and give you a look at it. But it does say that we are in UPS mode. So it detects that a load is being served here off the AC inverter, and that we also have AC input. So let's just see if I get a fast enough switch over to battery power, because right now we should be passing through AC power, which is what UPS mode is. And hopefully we will not disrupt our laptop. So if we see any flickers or shutdown, we'll know that it wasn't fast enough. So let's simulate the power outage right now by pulling the AC input power cord. Here we go, 1, 2, 3. All right, no hiccups on the laptop. And just to show you there's no trickery, I'll try to unplug and replug this as quick as I can. That was not very quick, but you can see the laptop went out immediately. All right, so yeah, UPS mode on this tiny little E300LFP confirmed. All right, let's find out how clean the AC output is on this little E300LFP. And we're going to use my old guitar amp. So if you have a use case where you guys want to power a guitar amp remotely or a PA system and you don't want to get buzz coming out of that AC power supply, we're going to find out if this is suitable for that particular application. So I've got my old guitar amp here. I'll plug this into grid power, and we are going to give it a test to see how it sounds on grid power as a baseline. So let me put my mic in front of that. Just a little bit of hum. Now let's see how it performs when we plug it into the E300. All right, same test. All right, comparatively, that is fairly clean. I wouldn't give it a 100% pass. I'd give it about a 90% pass. So there is a slightly additional buzz. There's a slight additional buzz over what you get from grid power, but it's not terribly intrusive, at least on this particular amp. And I think actually if you had an amp with noise suppression built in, like most of the Fender Rumbles, for example, those probably aren't going to, you're not going to hear any kind of extra noise out of something like that. So yeah, just be aware, very slight bit of extra noise coming through the E300 when you're powering an AC load, especially if you're doing a PA system or a guitar amp. So like its larger siblings, it's very solid performance out of this E300LFP during testing. And by the way, also like that recently released E1500, this E300 does also support remote app control and configuration from the Pecron mobile app. So that gives you control over things like the AC and DC outputs. You can independently set the auto shutdown timeouts and charge rate. You can also just sort of override all that by toggling the eco mode on, and that will basically set the timeouts to 2 hours and the charge rate to 50%. So you're basically putting less stress on the battery cells, which is nice. But basically it allows you to control all the usual things you'd like to be able to remotely control from your phone. And you probably do want to leave the auto shutdown timeout turned on, because I did also test the no load draw on this E300, and because that 600 watt inverter is a pretty large inverter in comparison to that 288 rated watt hour capacity, it'll consume about 3% of the unit's capacity per hour all by itself. So if you were to turn off that auto shutdown, it'll run itself to 0% state of charge in about a day and a half if you forget to turn that AC inverter off. So you probably want to leave that on. And speaking of the inverter, I will also say that this is probably not the quietest unit that I have tested. As you saw, it produced just under 60 decibels under maximum load in the test clips. Even if you just leave the inverter on with no load for more than just a few minutes, it will emit a low volume white noise. So actually check it out. Here's a quick example. So definitely not a bothersome sound, but also definitely not silent. And to be perfectly fair, the similarly spec'd Bluetti EB3A actually clocked in a whopping 75 decibels under max load. So by comparison, the E300 is actually noticeably quieter still than its direct competitors. And I can honestly say that this E300 has a better build quality as well, which is to say that it's built pretty much just like that E1500, only quite a bit smaller. Now, in terms of pricing, the E300 does have a list price of $199, and that even there makes it one of the more affordable options that you're going to find. And for a limited time anyway, Pecron has provided me a discount code that you can use that will get that price down to just $159, which is a kind of a ridiculously good deal for a little power station like this. Now, in terms of availability, this E300LFP is just now being released on Pecron's website. And in about a week or so, you should be able to get it on Amazon as well. And I'll put a product linked in the description below for you for Pecron's website, and I'll add one for Amazon just as soon as that listing is active there. So overall, I would say that I continue to be very impressed with these new power stations from Pecron. And I can honestly say that this E300LFP, I would say, ranks as the best power station that I've tested to date in that sub-300 Wh class of capacity range. It's just a very solid, affordable unit. All right, so let's talk real quickly about how you can enter the contest for a chance to win one of these little guys. It's pretty simple. I just need you to click the like button down below and make sure that you're subscribed to the channel. And after that, you just need to leave a comment to this video below and make sure that you include in that comment the words E300LFP somewhere in the text. And feel free to be creative about that. And that's it, easy peasy. And don't worry, we're not going to put you on a spam list. Neither me or Pecron is going to ask you for any money. No shipping fee, nothing. This is completely 100% free. And I'll be randomly drawing the winner from the comments on March 10th, 2024. And that's just a couple weeks after this video is going to post. So you'll probably want to jump on this right away. And if you are the winner, you'll get a message from me with further instructions on how to claim the prize. And do be careful, there are scams out there. I've been seeing them posing as me, and they usually look something like this. This is not me. This is a disgusting parasite scammer, so ignore these guys. But this is how a comment from me will look. Notice that there's a highlighted oval around my channel name, and only comments from me will have that little oval highlight. So that's how you can be sure that the comment is from me and not some scammer. Well, that and the fact that I won't be asking you for any money. Oh, and I might recommend that you turn on your notifications for the YouTube app on your phone so you'll get notified if I do post a reply to your comment telling you that you're the winner, because you'll only have about a week to claim the power station after I notify you. And if you haven't responded by then, I'll be redrawing a new winner as often as I have to until we successfully find a winner who's going to respond and claim the prize. So just be aware of that. All right, so I think that about wraps it up. If I missed anything or you have a question about something that I didn't cover in the video, feel free to leave that question in the comment section below, and I'll try to get back to you as soon as I can. And I do hope you found something useful or informative in the video. If you did, please be sure to click that like button for me. I'd very much appreciate that. I do offer my sincere thanks for watching this video, and I certainly hope that you'll join me for the next one. So good luck on the giveaway, and have fun out there.